everyone, it's Marianne and welcome to my Wasteless Life. In this video, let's talk about the rare and uncommon varieties of pothos and the release of my ebook, The Ultimate Guide to Pothos Plants. Thank you so much for joining me today, and if you're new, this is my Wasteless Life, where I take you along my plant journey and share with you some of my beginner tips and tricks on houseplants and sustainable lifestyle. So this is a follow-up to my 22 pothos varieties and how to tell them apart video, which I know most of you have seen. I'm pretty sure you came from that video and subscribed to me because of that video. It now has over 200k views, so thank you so much for supporting me since. And this is a highly requested video because I always get asked where is the part 2 to that video, and this is it. So this is the part 2 to that video, and this time we're going to be talking about the rare and uncommon pothos varieties. And as I mentioned in that video, what I love about pothos, it is the most accessible plant, and it is the plant that gives us the automatic indoor jungle vibe without having a large plant collection. Especially nowadays with the discussion and rising cost of houseplants, pothos deserves its hype and more. As it is the plants that literally keeps on giving, it is such a fast grower and very easy to propagate. However, with any plant species, the more you get to know them, the more that you'll discover the more rare and uncommon varieties of said plant species, and pothos is no different. So if you're a pothos collector like me and you pretty much have most, if not all, of the pothos that I mentioned in my 22 pothos varieties video, and you're trying to see what else is out there, this video is for you. But before I jump into talking about the rare and uncommon varieties of pothos, I would first answer the commonly asked questions in my 22 pothos varieties video, and also issue some corrections and updates since I made that video. And I will also talk about my ebook, which is now released on Amazon Kindle, The Ultimate Guide to Pothos Plants. But if you want to jump ahead, the timestamps are down below. But if you can stick around for this part and watch the entire video, I'd very much appreciate it. And also the rare and common pothos part of this video would make a lot more sense. So the first correction or clarification that I would make from my 22 pothos varieties video is that pothos are understory plants in the wild, but they do have the ability to climb up trees. And when they do form these large leaves and fenestrate like the Monstera deliciosa. But as indoor plants, they do need to be trained to climb up a moss pole or trellis, or otherwise they would just naturally trail down, which is what makes them great hanging houseplants. Second, I've used terminologies in that video that are not entirely accurate or applicable when it comes to pothos since they are non-flowering plants. I explained that a bit more in my ebook, but because pothos are non-flowering plants, they do not have the ability to produce flowers or fruits to actually have a hybrid. Instead, they have cultivars, forms, mutations, and spores. But those terms are very loosely used in the horticultural community and in the houseplant community, so I might still use them inconsistently throughout this video and in the ebook as well. And third, I've mentioned that some varieties just comes with different common plant names. They're all the same plant, but when in fact they are actually different forms and cultivars, and also vice versa. And I would mention them and make those clarifications as I talk about the different rare and uncommon pothos. All this information on pothos and more could be found in my ebook, The Ultimate Guide to Pothos, which is now available on Amazon Kindle. The link is down below. This is the ebook version of my Pothos 101 series here on my YouTube channel. So if I already have a video series on pothos, why did I choose to write this ebook? As much as I appreciate you all watching my videos and watching them repeatedly, and to be honest, the bulk of my Google AdSense are from my pothos videos, but I still get a lot of DMs from a lot of you asking help on how to properly identify your pothos, as well as help in troubleshooting your pothos. So that's the purpose of my Ultimate Guide to Pothos ebook. It will be your one-stop reference for everything you need to know when it comes to identifying your pothos, how to properly take care of them, and how to successfully propagate them. And since it's an ebook, you can take it anywhere with you, especially if you're plant shopping. I know I've experienced when I'm plant shopping, I'm trying to identify a plant and there's no signal for me to even Google it. And even when I Google, it's not giving me the right answers or any answer at all. So this ebook is going to be perfect for that. You just pull out the ebook and look through the pictures because each variety has a picture accompanying it and a description, a very thorough description. So it will help you identify correctly the plants that you're trying to buy or the pothos plants that you already have within your collection. I will talk more in the end about the contents of my ebook as well as how you can get it. But I would like to thank everyone who contributed to making this ebook possible. All those who I reached out to and gave me permission to use the pictures of their pothos to be part of this ebook. So thank you so much to everyone who contributed and gave me permission to use their pictures. My subscribers and plant friends, Chas, Raciel, and Michael, plant sellers and plant Instagrammers. I would link them all down below. Go check them out. Much Greens, The Plant Nurse, Earth Plants ID, Rev House, 1000 Tropical Aroid, and Pothos Loco. And lastly, Shane Malloy from Gabriela Plants and Shirley from Glasshouse Works. Thank you so much to your contribution to my ebook. I really appreciate it. So just like my 22 pothos varieties video for the rare and common plants that I'll be talking about here will be divided into 3 different groups: Epipremnum, Philodendron, and Scindapsus. So under Epipremnum, the first one that I want to talk about is the Hawaiian golden pothos. I don't exactly have that sport of the golden pothos, but it would look like something like this. It is easily confused with the golden pothos, but the Hawaiian golden pothos is a sport of it. And what differentiates it is has more a dense and fragmented golden yellow variegation, lots of it, and can be found in every single leaf. And when matured, the leaves of the Hawaiian golden pothos tends to be much larger than the regular golden pothos, and the stems of the Hawaiian golden pothos is usually more yellow than it is green. In my 22 pothos varieties video, I get a lot of questions on how to differentiate Enjoy pothos from Glacier pothos and Pearls and Jade pothos. And in my 22 pothos varieties video, I incorrectly said that Pearls and Jade and Glacier pothos are one and the same, but in fact they are different forms. Their distinctive differences are with the Pearls and Jade pothos, you can see some green speckles on the white parts of the leaves, while the Glacier and the Enjoy pothos do not have that. But what differentiates the Glacier pothos from the Enjoy pothos is that the Glacier pothos would have some gray molting in between the green and white variegation, while the Enjoy pothos is purely solid green and solid white variegation. But it's not uncommon to find all those kinds of leaves in one plant, so just go with what type of leaf you predominantly have and use that to identify the kind of pothos that you have. And the next 2 Epipremnum pothos that I'm going to talk about are the newest cultivars of pothos, the Emerald pothos and the Global Green pothos. So the Emerald pothos looks like an Enjoy and Glacier pothos, but without the white variegations. It just comes with at least 2 different shades of green. Normally with an Emerald pothos, you will find the darker shade of green inside the leaf and the lighter shade of green on the outside of the leaf. While the Global Green pothos is the opposite. You'll find the light green color inside the leaf and the darker green color outside the leaf. But when you look at them, they would have the same variegation pattern of the Enjoy or the Glacier pothos. So if you've seen my pothos collection video, you already seen me talk about this sport of the Manjula pothos, and I had the audacity to name it after me, Marian pothos, because this is a Manjula pothos that don't have the white variegation. So kind of like the Emerald and the Global Green pothos, they are the Enjoy pothos that don't have white variegation. This is a Manjula pothos that don't have the white variegation, but still maintain the variegation pattern of the Manjula pothos and the shape of the leaf of the Manjula pothos without the white variegation and just in different shades of green. So I got comments in that video saying that it could just be the Global Green pothos. The reason that I hesitate to say that it is the Global Green pothos is because of the pattern of the variegation and the shape of the leaf. It still very much maintains the shape of the leaf of the Manjula pothos as well as the variegation, which is very much different from the variegation pattern of an Enjoy pothos or a Glacier pothos. So another sport of the Manjula pothos that is unidentified or yet to be named is a fully reverted Manjula pothos. So unlike the Marian pothos or the first Manjula sport that I showed you, this one is just completely green. It doesn't retain any of the variegation pattern of the original Manjula, but what differentiates it from the Jade pothos is it still retains the shape of the Manjula pothos. So that's why I also hesitate to say that the fully reverted version of a Manjula pothos is just now a jade pothos. Unlike with the Marble Queen pothos, if it reverts, it just becomes the jade pothos. So when it comes to Epipremnum pothos, they're mostly classified as Epipremnum aurum, but there are also pothos plants that are classified as Epipremnum pinnatum. In my 22 pothos varieties video, we talked about the Cebu blue pothos, but there are also about 3 or 4 more varieties of Epipremnum pinnatum that are classified or referred to as pothos as well. The first one is the Epipremnum pinnatum, or the dragon tail, or Tibatib, which is also originally found in Philippines, like the Cebu blue pothos, but it is found in the Luzon region of the Philippines and is a lot more common than the Cebu blue pothos. So the Epipremnum pinnatum is often confused with the Cebu blue pothos in its juvenile form, but their differentiating quality is that the Tibatib or dragon tail don't have the silver blue coloring of the Cebu blue pothos. And also the Tibatib, when it's mature, it fenestrates, and sometimes is also confused with the Monstera deliciosa. And the Epipremnum pinnatum also comes in a variegated form, which is the Epipremnum pinnatum variegata. And I don't have either one of those, but I have this. So this one is, I do believe it is a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, but when I first saw it, I thought it was the Epipremnum pinnatum because of the leaves down here. Because unlike my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, which is probably a tissue culture, it doesn't have this hue of the leaf and the shape of this leaf. So I don't know if it is an Epipremnum pinnatum. More likely it's a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, but when I first saw it, I thought it was an Epipremnum pinnatum and I got excited. But in any case, an Epipremnum pinnatum would look a lot like this if you see it in person. Another Epipremnum pinnatum that is often confused with a jade pothos or a Cebu blue pothos in its juvenile form is the Epipremnum pinnatum skeleton key. But as the leaves mature, the bottom half of the leaf remains wide and the top half of the leaf narrows into a strip, giving it the appearance of a key, hence the name skeleton key. And the last Epipremnum pothos that I'm going to talk about is the Shangri-La pothos, or the sleeping pothos. And this is such a fun pothos to have. It is considered on the rare side, but this one is actually the variegated version of it. This one is called the Shangri-Ulala pothos, but basically it is a sleeping pothos that has the golden yellow variegation, kind of like with the golden pothos. And the unique thing about the sleeping pothos is in its juvenile form, or when the leaf just starts to grow, it does look like the jade pothos, but as it matures, it would curl into a cone, just like this one, and form the shape of a cone or a witch's hat. That's why this is also called the witch's hat pothos, the javelin pothos, the Godzilla pothos, etc. And the next category is the philodendron pothos. And to issue another correction from its 22 pothos varieties, when it comes to the sports of the Philodendron Brazil, the Rio Sport, Silver Stripe, Cream Splash, and Gabby. I think I mentioned in that video that the Rio and Silver Stripe is the same, and the Cream Splash and the Gabby is the same, but when in fact they are their own distinct forms. What differentiates them from one another is the level of variegation in each one of them. So kind of like with the Enjoy Glacier and Pilsen Jade pothos, the difference is very minimal but distinct enough to be referred to as its own form. So the Rio would have more of the silver, cream, light green variegation. The Silver Stripe would have a narrow strip of silver in it, and the Cream Splash would have more cream in it. And the Gabby is the highly variegated version of either the Silver Stripe or the Cream Splash, mainly the Cream Splash. And the Gabby has the ability to produce leaves that are completely cream in color, and the variegation pattern in the Gabby is a little bit more unstable. As opposed to the first three, they tend to have the same type of variegation more or less among each leaf. So yeah, so those are the difference between those sports. Again, I talk more about them in my ebook if you want to check it out. Also, like the Neon pothos, the philodendron line has a variegated version, and this one is kind of it. As you can see, it has leaves that have some variegation in it, but it's not found in every leaf. So I'm not sure if this is a natural mutation. I think it might be, but I'm not sure, but it is available now, a variegated version of the philodendron line. And the next one is the Philodendron hederaceum variegata. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing that right. It's also called Philodendron scandens variegata or Philodendron cordatum variegata. But I think the Philodendron hederaceum variegata is the more accurate term for it. But basically, it is the variegated version of the heartlip philodendron, and it has the same variegation pattern as a marble queen pothos. So imagine a marble queen pothos variegation, but in a heartleaf philodendron form. That is the Philodendron hederaceum variegata. And according to Glasshouse Works, they will have that plant available starting next year if you're looking for one. This one is the Philodendron brantianum. It has that silver gray molting that looks kind of like the Scindapsus pictus exotica, but it is a philodendron. And the last one under Philodendron pothos is the velvet leaf philodendron. In my previous 22 pothos varieties video, I already have mentioned the Philodendron micans, but the Philodendron micans has two known spores. One is the Philodendron micans ecuador, which has a more narrower and longer leaf, and the other one is the Philodendron hederaceum variegata Kirbridae, but that one is differentiated by its reddish brown and rib stems, and as you can see, the micans over here, it's just green and it doesn't have any ribbing on it. And the last group is the Scindapsus pothos. I know I keep saying it, that I talk more about it in my ebook, but that's the great thing about the ebook, stuff that are great information to know, but I don't include in the video for the sake of time. You can find it in my ebook. But a lot of Scindapsus varieties, not just the Scindapsus pictus varieties, are still called pothos by the scientific community. But for the sake of this video and in my ebook, I only included varieties that belong under Scindapsus pictus, Scindapsus trubii, and Scindapsus lucens. So in my previous video, I talked about the Scindapsus pictus varieties, starting with the Argyrius, the Exotica right here, and the Silvery Ann. And I think I've also mentioned the Silver Splash, but I don't have it yet then, and I'm going to show you the one that I have right now. And I know in the unboxing video of my Scindapsus pictus exotica, I referred to it as the Silver Splash pothos. Again, inaccurate. This is the Scindapsus pictus Silver Splash. I got this off Facebook Market. It was very controversial on TikTok because I paid $15 for this one tiny leaf, but such is the plant life. But another Scindapsus pictus variety that I didn't mention in that video, or if I did, I might have shown you an inaccurate picture, is the Scindapsus pictus silver ladies. As you can see in the picture right here, it looks a lot like the Scindapsus pictus exotica, but as you can see, the borders on the silver variegation is a lot more distinctive and prominent, especially on the sides and on the parts where the veins of the leaves could be. So another Scindapsus pictus that I didn't get to mention in my previous video is the Scindapsus pictus jade satin. So even though this one doesn't have any variegation in it, this is actually a lot harder to find than other Scindapsus pictus varieties and could go for a really high price. I got mine through a trade, and the leaves don't normally look curled like this. It's supposed to be flat like in this picture right here. So yeah, so this is the Scindapsus pictus jade satin. And I know at this point you're probably thinking some of the plants that I'm mentioning here shouldn't be called pothos anymore, and I agree. But again, because of their classification scientifically, and they're still referred to as pothos in the houseplant community, or other forms under the same variety are referred to as pothos, that is why I included them in this list. But like I said, I've just tried to limit it to 3 varieties of Scindapsus, and I'm pretty sure I didn't even cover all the cultivars and forms under those varieties. So like with this one, with the Scindapsus trubii, I have the Scindapsus trubii moonlight. So this one also has silver variegation like the Scindapsus pictus exotica, but this one has more of a satin finish to this and a lot more subtle silver variegation. It also has another form, which is the Scindapsus trubii dark form, which, as the name suggests, it has a darker leaves, which is similar in coloration as a ZZ Raven. And the last 2 Scindapsus varieties that I'm going to talk about, which probably has the highest price tag and the most difficult to find, is one is the Scindapsus pictus Silver Hero or the Scindapsus pictus Platinum. This one was first introduced by Amos Tan in Singapore, and the other one is the Scindapsus lucens, which this one I hesitated to add because it's neither the Trubii or the Pectus, but I added it because it looks like a Cebu Blue Pothos, but in the shape of a Sandatus Pectus Jade Satin. So those are the rare and uncommon pothos. If you're looking to add more to your collection, those are the varieties to keep your eye on. And as mentioned, I have all of these varieties and the ones that I mentioned in my 22 pothos varieties videos and lots more varieties in my Ultimate Guide to Pothos ebook, which is now out on Amazon Kindle. The link is down below. And also included in that ebook is a comprehensive but easy to follow instructional guide on how to properly care for your pothos, as well as how to successfully propagate your pothos. And as a bonus, I added 2 chapter excerpts from my next ebook, Houseplants Back to Basics, on how to flush your houseplants and the 7 reasons for yellowing leaves in your houseplants and how to remedy them. The Ultimate Guide to Pothos Plants ebook is available right now only on Amazon Kindle. When I submitted this to Amazon KDP, the suggested price that they gave was around $6 and some cents, but I wanted to make this ebook very accessible to a lot more people, so I priced it at $2.99 instead, which is the lowest price that I could give this ebook according to Amazon KDP. And if you're subscribed to Kindle Unlimited, you can download this ebook for free. And I also set it so that you can lend your copy of your ebook for 14 days. So if you want to share it with your friends and family, you can do so. You don't have to buy multiple copies unless you want to. And I'm also trying to work out a paperback version of it. I just need to be able to format the book for paperback version, and hopefully I'll be able to do that by Thanksgiving or before Christmas. I just need time to do it, which it comes down to, but the holiday season, as you know, is always busier than intended. As an added bonus for my viewers and subscribers, if you email me proof of receipt that you purchased the ebook, I will then send you high-res digital copies of the Pothos chart posters that are included in the ebook. There's about 4 of them, 2 for the Epipremnum, 1 for the Philodendron, and 1 for the Scindapsus. It is in the ebook, but if you want high-res resolution versions of those, then send me an email with your receipt and I will send you copies of all 4 posters. Depending on the number of sales, I might have to put a cap on the number of digital copies that I would give out, because I will eventually have them on sale on my Etsy page as well, but I will try to give out as many as I can to my viewers and subscribers who will buy my Ultimate Guide to Pothos Plants ebook. And I forgot to mention this when I was filming that part, but I also want to say that 50% of the profits from my ebook in this month, I will be donating it to food banks. I'm thinking of donating a part of it to a local food bank in my area. That would be DC Central Kitchen, Capital Food Bank, or Martha's Table, and then a national food bank, most likely Feeding America, and an international one, which is the World Food Program. So if you do purchase my ebook, I would be donating 50% of the net profits to those food banks, and I will definitely be showing receipts to assure you that the money will go to those food banks. But yeah, so thank you so much. And lastly, another way you can get my ebook is to sign up for my very first in-person houseplant workshop. I'll be co-instructing a workshop with Jeff Kushner at the Plants Alive Nursery. If you remember, I did a tour of their nursery about a month ago or so. They invited me to co-instruct the workshop with Jeff. And for this workshop, we're going to cover the houseplants basics from light to water, and also do some hands-on demo when it comes to potting and transplanting plants. So there's going to be interactive components to it. It is a very limited event because of social distancing. We're only accepting up to 15 RSVPs. Each one would have their own socially distanced stations. Masks are required. And aside from the class, the ticket comes with a free 4-inch plant, a copy of my ebook, plant consultation with me and Jeff. Like I said, I get a lot of DMs of people asking me to help with their plants. So if you're in the DMV area, this is your chance to personally talk to me or Jeff and ask questions on how to take care of your plant or help you solve any issues that you might have with your houseplants right now, especially as we head towards the winter season. There will be in-store exclusives if you choose to shop afterwards. I saw what they recently have in their nursery, so you might think about shopping there as well after the event. And we'll also be serving refreshments. And since it's going to be on Sunday during brunch time, maybe some mimosas. I don't know. We're trying to figure it out if we can do that. But yeah, it's going to be so much fun. Like I said, it's a very limited ticketed event. We're only accepting 15 participants for this workshop. So if you're interested, it's a nice thing to do before the Thanksgiving week where all the craziness ensues. So just relax and have fun and learn something with your fellow plant parents and plants enthusiasts and get some knowledge and instruction from me and Jeff. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, I hope you subscribe. I come up with houseplants and sustainable lifestyle videos every week. And if you haven't yet, go check out these videos up here until my next one. But until then, I see you. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself and each other and have a plentiful day. Bye.